evening, everybody. Good evening. On behalf of the Board of Education, Dr. Goodman, the faculty and staffs at the middle school and the high school, I'd like to wish everyone a happy holiday and especially welcome you to this wonderful performance tonight. They've worked very hard to really give you the best performance you're going to see. No matter what happens, what you see over the holidays, they've worked so hard. It's going to be a classic, so without further ado, I'd like to thank Mr. Tuckahoe and the Middle School Symphony. And the High School Symphony, of course, also. And now, I know it's going to be a classic. Congratulations. On with the show.
Thank you, Dr. Linehan. Welcome, everybody. I'm thrilled to have you here. Just a couple words about, we decided, I've had some, well, just to share one thing with you, one good thing that I've learned that Facebook is good for is, you know how you get these 10 years ago memories, various things like that, or this many years ago. I got a memory recently that was 10 years ago, was the first time that I actually had like the first volunteer teaching that I ever did was 10 years ago. So I've been doing this for 10 years, which seems amazing, and it's not been 10 years. All right, thank you. Somebody who started that applause is very kind, thank you. But, so a lot of these kids, the seniors I have had for 7 years, and many of you who have been at the concerts before recognize that I'm a kind of out-of-the-box thinker, and I don't always do classical music. And there are people who have been begging me to just do Beethoven and Bach and Mozart and all the classics. So this year, for these graduating seniors, Jerry, there's a number of them, I said, all right, we're going to do a classic concert, but of course I have to put a twist to it. So we're having, that's a classic, and there are going to be some jokes told. So anyway, you're about to hear our middle school orchestra. Oh boy. Nico.
So the computer said that I need to put in a new password, tried hi-hats, said I couldn't use any cymbals.
Okay, for those of you who do not like musical puns out there, you have my symphony. All right, so without further ado, I'm going to show you the middle school, the way we warm up. You guys, what do we warm up with, Leah? Open string cycle, OSC is what it's called. Andrew, come on out here. Andrew Swenson, a graduating senior and cellist, give him a big hand. So, all the strings, the violins, our strings are G, D, A, and E. The bass is E, A, D, and G. It's the same strings but reversed. Cello and viola have the same strings, which are C, G, D, and A. So everybody has 3 strings in common. Violins and basses have E strings. There's going to be a test about this later. And cellos and violas have C strings. So there's a way that we can all play the same note with just our open strings. And just to get us like unified at the beginning of a day, at the beginning of a class, we will do this open string cycle. I have invited Andrew to accompany us. He's going to do, we're going to do one where we're going to do pizzicato, guys. We're going to do a pizzicato open string cycle with Andrew playing for us. Here we go. Open strings starting on C. 2, 3, and C. Pizzicato and G. A and E, repeat the E, and A, and B, and G, and C, 2, 3, now 3 times C, 2, 3, G, 2, 3, D, 2, 3, A, 2, 3, E, 2, 3, A, 2, 3, D, don't rush it, and G, 2, 3, C, 2, now 2, C, 2, G, 2, D, 2, A, 2, E, 2, E, 2, A, 2, D, 2, G, 2, C, 2, now 1, G, D, A, E, A, D, G, C. You can clap. We're going to do one more. And if that sounded really good, it's because Andrew, who plays a little bit of spicy jazz down there, is playing chords that fit with the notes that they're playing. But he's a lot better than when I play the piano, guys. Isn't that right? Andrew's amazing. But now we're going to do it, and we're going to use our full bows. We're going to be a little bit slower, and this is just to get them making a lot of noise with their instruments. See, da, da. So they've got to go all the way from, what do we call the part closest? The frog. It's weird. I don't know why it's called that. The frog all the way to the tip. So hopefully they're using the whole bow. Here we go. Open strings on a bow. Get your bows up, guys. 2, 3, and C, 2, 3, and G string. Thank you very much. Give a hand for our accompanist, Andrew Swenson. So again, talking about classics, classical music, part of why I wanted to do this is actually just as a community thing, learning what it's like to be at an orchestral concert. Just out of curiosity, I can kind of see you in the dark. Do I ask how many people have gone, or why don't I ask this? Who here, raise your hand if you have not been to an orchestra concert. Aside, school doesn't count. Like if you've been to a professional orchestra, if you've never been to a professional orchestra concert, raise your hand. So there are folks out there. It's nice to see how many people are going. The good news is this group, I'm still working out all the details, but I do believe we will be going to one of the New York Philharmonic young people's concerts in the new year, which I'm very excited about. So you're about to hear 3 pieces written by this wonderful educational composer, Stephen Chin is his name. He's from Australia. So it's a set of 3 pieces. He calls it's 12 curtain raisers, and we're playing 3 of them. So sometimes when you go to a concert, they play a multi-movement thing, which is what we're going to do. So if you've been to a concert, what do you do when there's a multi-movement thing? You don't clap until the very end. So we're going to play 3 pieces, and no matter how good they sound after the first piece or the second piece, do your best to try not and clap for them until the end. And then we have it's 3 movements. One of them is called Magical Mandolins. The next one is Valse Enchantée, and then Ice Train, which is very exciting and rousing, and you won't be able to not clap at the end of that. So here we go.
What do you call a girl who's singing and dressed up in tinsel? Carol.
I have to say how unbelievably I'm excited. And I didn't honestly plan this, but we have some people out sick, which is very sad, but so many people. Friday was crazy. The school was like a ghost town. While I'm talking, middle schoolers who are not playing Skater's Waltz can go back into the band room, and high schoolers will start filtering in. But this middle school group, I have 17 first violins, 17 second violins, 8 violas, 10 cellos, and 5 basses. I'm so thrilled. That deserves a round of applause. And I'm going out of order here, but I will say a thank you to Dr. Linehan and Dr. Goodman, and as well the PTA have helped with the string budget because we're a new program. This is my fourth year full-time. So we kind of built from nothing, and we've now got, if you come look at my room, there's the right side of the room, I call it Cello Mountain, because there are more instruments coming in every day. We have basses, we have cellos, so people don't have to drag their instruments back and forth every time. But I'm so thrilled to actually have a diverse string orchestra, so thank you to the school and the PTA for supporting me for that. I'm about to be interrupted.
What musical keys do cows sing in?
I don't know. What key?
Beef flat.
I can't say it's going to get better or it's going to get worse. It's just going to keep going. All right, so now we have some high schoolers, and the fact that I got those 3 somewhat challenging, the last piece that you just heard, Ice Train, was pretty tricky for us to put together. So we don't have our full middle school complement now. I have brought in some high school reinforcements, and we're going to play a wonderful piece called Skater's Waltz, which again, this is evoking a night in old Vienna. Skater's Waltz.
musically gifted elf. A Christmas rapper.
Middle schoolers, who you will hear from later. Way to go, Tuckahoe Middle School string players. Take a bow. Thank you very much. So middle school, you can retire to the band room, and we will see you for our finale. Okay, as our high school orchestra gets into place, just to talk a little bit further about this classic, that's a classic, yes, the jokes are good, but we have talked about, in classical music, there are eras. How many eras did we learn about, you guys? Anybody? 4? Maybe 5, right? Let me think. There's like early music, Baroque, classical, romantic, modern. Did I get them all? So there's 5. We're not going to give you early music tonight. Early music would be like plain chant, church music, before instruments were involved. When instruments started to become involved, the music was called Baroque. And I probably should have had a Baroque joke, because there are plenty of them. So we're going to play a quite famous melody that you guys all know by Antonio Vivaldi. He wrote the Four Seasons, and since we started in the fall, I started everybody on autumn. I recognize it's winter now, and I love the winter Four Seasons, but we're going to play for you Vivaldi's Autumn. This is our high school orchestra. So we're going to play one more Baroque piece. Now, just a little bit of education about Baroque music. If you hear that, compared to some of the stuff you're going to hear later, if you notice technically, the strings are using a lot of bow, and back then, actually the bows looked different. They weren't so tight, they were like rounded on the top, and the hair would have been kind of loose. So when you play Baroque music, I've been encouraging them all, / yelling at them to use more bow and less pressure. So it's and it feels very airy, and it's not quite as dramatic. Like we're gonna hear, next we go into something classical, after this next piece you're gonna hear, and you'll hear a difference, and then we go into some romantic music, and each one requires a little bit different technique. So the next thing you're gonna hear actually was written by Mozart's father. So not all dads are bad or untalented. My son wasn't listening. Anyway, so this is called Sleigh Ride. It's not the sleigh ride that we all know from Christmas. This was written by Leopold Mozart. And we have somebody to tell us about articulation here. Get in close.
What kind of music do planets like? Neptunes.
Did you hear the bows? It's not quite so deep into the string. It's very cool and interesting. Santi?
What is the father of all Christmas songs? Feliz Navidad.
I wrote that. No, I didn't. Okay, so now, interestingly, this next piece is in the same key, G major, but Kara did her Great Figures in Classical Music project on the composer, and the composer is?
Tchaikovsky.
Yes, who's a very interesting character, right? And actually, I will just say how proud I am and kind of heartwarmed by all of the projects to see what people did and what they came up with, because I just wanted us to like delve into learning about people and things we might not look at. So we did composers, we did violinists, we did violin makers, we did Einstein, who was a lover of music. There were so many different interesting people chosen, and I don't know if you saw out there, if you didn't on your way out, look at, there are some projects that people did that we hung up, and then on the smart board, they're cycling through all the Google slideshows that we have. So this is by Tchaikovsky, and he wrote something that you probably have heard called the Nutcracker, and we're going to do something from that. So this is, you'll hear, they're playing deeper into the string, more, this is classical, is the era that we're playing. Here's the Nutcracker. I was just corrected by our principal violist. This is romantic and not classical. Thank you, Jess. And you're right. Yeah, she's right. It's romantic, but you'll hear it's different.
Now, it's common knowledge that when a musician is tone deaf, you give them 2 sticks and you put them in the back with the drums. I love you, Justin. But what if you do, if they have no sense of rhythm either? You then take away one of the sticks and you make them conduct.
I will say that my son is wrong because Justin has terrific time. Welcome Justin DeFucci on the timpani. So we're gonna change something. This is also romantic. I will say that Tchaikovsky Nutcracker, I feel like is early romantic. Is it? Mid romantic. Not mid like you guys say mid, but middle era romantic. Okay. Mahler, Gustav Mahler, who Jerry Connolly here is an absolute devotee of. How close is it, Jerry? Jerry goes to every Mahler performance within like 200 miles if he can. He literally goes to every Mahler performance, correct? Give him a hand for that. That is amazing. And Jerry, as this concert and this piece is for you tonight. So we're going to play. This is Gustav Mahler's First Symphony. It's the third movement. Now, Mahler was a complicated guy and had a pretty sad life. And so this piece, we've had a lot of happy Christmas stuff. This piece is not so happy. You'll hear it. It's actually the melody of Frere Jacques, but in a minor key and kind of spooky. So here's the third movement of Gustav Mahler's Symphony Number 1. We went a little dark there, sorry. Winds and brass. You guys, for the first time ever, since I've been here, maybe a long time ago there was, but here we're going to have an actual symphony orchestra tonight. Give a hand for that. Come on out, you guys. We're starting small. We're going to get bigger, but right now we've got 3 brass, 2 winds, 3 percussion. And I believe a joke. Where's Jack? The joke teller isn't here, so I'm going to tell it. Well, this goes with the piece. Why couldn't the orchestra find their composer? He was hiding. You're about to hear Haydn's Surprise Symphony with the Tuckahoe Symphony Orchestra.
What do you get when you drop a piano onto a military base?
A flat major.
And what do you get when you drop a piano into a mine shaft?
A flat minor.
So the next piece we're going to play is by the German composer Johannes Brahms. Yuri, it's not an A flat minor, is it? At some point it might be. It goes through a lot of keys. This is the hardest thing that I've played since I got to Tuckahoe School with these kids. It goes through a lot of keys, and it's hard for everybody. It's hard for the percussion to count. String instruments and wind instruments don't usually play in the same keys. We like to play in sharp keys. The winds like to play in flat keys, if you know what that means. That's musical jargon I recognize. But Brahms was an academic, and we were about to play something called the Academic Festival Overture, which he was awarded a doctoral degree to some, I can't remember where, someplace. And part of the deal was they said, we'll give you a doctorate, but you have to write us a piece, and this is what he wrote. So this is, you're going to hear just the strings alone, but this is the last piece that the whole symphony is going to play, the Brahms Academic Festival Overture. You see what I mean? That's a workout. Whew. So we will bid a fond adieu to our brass, winds, and percussion. Give them another big hand, you guys. So we're going to now go to just our advanced strings group, which, so you have symphony, and then there's another word, which is symphoniette. So I've been calling this, well, what you just saw, I've been calling this Saiwanoe Symphony, alliteration, and then when we're just strings, I call it the Saiwanoe Symphoniette. And these guys are going to play one of my very favorite pieces. But when we're just talking about strings, and we've been talking about jokes, you know how sometimes there's one persona that just gets piled upon with jokes? In the orchestra, it happens to be the viola. So I thought about just having like one after the other of bad viola jokes, because there's a lot of them. But our principal violist actually wrote her own joke. So it's okay that we're telling a viola joke because she's the one telling it, and she even wrote it. So without further ado, our very talented principal violist, Jess Kaufman, has a story for us.
Okay, so there was a violist, we can call her Jess, and she was bullied by her strings teacher. No, she played in the Tuckahoe High School Orchestra, and she found a lamp, and she rubbed the lamp, and a genie came out. And the genie said, "I'll grant you 3 wishes." And she said, "Great, I want to be the best violist in this orchestra." So he said, "Okay, I can do that." And she became the principal violist of Tuckahoe High School Orchestra. And then she went back to the genie for her second wish, and she said, "I want to be the best violist in the world." And he said, "Okay, I can do that." And she became the principal violist of the Berlin Philharmonic, which, if you don't know, is like one of the best orchestras in the world. And she went back for her third wish, and she said, "This is still not enough. I want to be better than any violist who ever lived." And the genie said, "Okay." So then she found herself sitting very last chair of the second violin section in the Tuckahoe High School Orchestra.
Very well done. And Jess is an extremely good sport. I don't need that. Because there are a lot of viola jokes at her expense. And Santi and the rest of our violists. We love them all. So you're going to now hear another 3-movement piece. And this one, too, is pretty tricky. You'll hear. It's by Edvard Grieg, who is Norwegian. Thank you. He's from Norway. And this is a 5-movement piece, and we're playing 3 of the movements. And it's absolutely one of my favorite pieces in the world, and I think you'll like it too. Here are 3 movements of the Holberg Suite. Don't clap in between the movements. Yuri Lee, Jess Kaufman, amazing soloists. Woo! Everybody take a bow. How'd we do? Okay. We have one last thing, and we're bringing back all of our middle schoolers and the rest of the high school. And as they're getting set, a few words. First of thanks. First off, Andrew Colaswano, Mr. C, who just took over in his new assistant principal job and is slaying in his new gig. Give him a big hand. Thank you, Mr. C. Additionally, I already mentioned them, but Dr. Goodman and Dr. Linehan, who are always there for me, helping me work this new program out, and always for all of the students helping us get to all-state orchestra, all-state area orchestra, all of these things. They're incredibly supportive, and I'm extremely grateful for that, so thank you. And I want to say, he's not here, but I want to say for Mr. DeBellis, who I also know, I hear the kids just adore Mr. DeBellis, and Mr. DeBellis did a special job of keeping the auditorium clear. It's tricky right now while all the construction is happening. A lot of kids come in here and hang out at lunchtime when we try to do our rehearsals, and he's kept it clear for us. So thank you, and a big hand for Mr. DeBellis, who we all love. Additionally, I know Mrs. Benke is here from the school board, and all of the school board. We are hugely appreciative. You look out for all of our best interests. Thank you very much for being here and all you do. Mr. Evans and Mrs. Reedy, for your dedication to the students, and your assistance to me is great. Thank you. But most of all, I want to say thank you and how proud I am of all of these crazy students that I love so much. Give them a hand. So, we're going to close with something by Ludwig van Beethoven. And as you leave, and you go by all the projects, and you're on your way to the cookies, there are some of the projects. Jess Kaufman, oh, she's playing the cello now. Jess Kaufman did a family tree of her teachers. She's studying with... her project was by a woman named Karen Tuttle, who basically taught every great violist that is out there living today, including Jess's teacher. And now, Mac Ruckman, Mac, raise your hand back there. Where are you, Mac? Oh, he's very shy. He just put your bow up high, Mac, come on. Give Mac a big hand back there, a 6th grade violist. Mac, without any, I did not push him in this direction. He found a violist named William Primrose, who's like early 1900s amazing violist, who I didn't know, but Jess told me he was Karen Tuttle's teacher. So it's not far-fetched to think, and I actually think that this is true, William Primrose probably studied with or played with people who played with Beethoven. So if you figure that out, he taught Karen Tuttle, and Karen Tuttle taught Jess's teacher, and Jess is here. So we're literally not many degrees away from Beethoven. It's true. It seems like it was a long time ago, and it was not. And the melody, Ode to Joy, la, 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 la. Right? Everybody knows it. He wrote that in the mid-1800s, I believe. Mid to late 1800s, Jerry? 1825, my history buff there. Music, most of us have gotten to watch this amazing Beethoven documentary, which I will share with everybody here. But music connects us, it inspires us, and it heals us. And for us to get to play this all together, and for the youngsters, for the 6th graders, along with the seniors and students of Beethoven, which we all are, it's deeply moving for me to get to do this, and I hope it is for you. And on this, is it the 2nd night of Hanukkah tonight? Beethoven being from Germany. Is he not Austrian? He's German. I'm glad you're there, Jerry. It's not a traditional Hanukkah song, but the way that you hear this piece right now in this setting of it is incredibly beautiful. And Travis is going to bring down the lights. And if you have a cell phone, string players, put it up so you can see. If you bought a ring and you want to turn it on right now, do so. And we leave you with Beethoven's Ode to Joy. Tuckahoe strings, everybody. Take a bow. Thank you all so much. Thank you, everybody. I neglected to say our esteemed mayor came tonight, which Omira, are you out there somewhere? We are hugely appreciative of you being here and your support of the arts. Give her a big hand. Thank you for being here. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful evening and a wonderful holiday season. Happy New Year. Good night.